Heavy radio static tears through the darkness. It pulses in uneven waves, flares, fades, returns louder. Beneath it, breathing, strained, shallow, trying to stay quiet. In the distance, faint police sirens drift somewhere far beyond the open line. They do not get closer. They do not fade completely. They just linger, suspended in the background, like something that will never arrive in time. A low sub-bass rumble begins to build under the static. Not music, just pressure. The kind that settles in the chest. Then a voice cuts through. Unit 12, respond. Unit 12, status check. The dispatcher sounds steady at first, trained, routine. No response, only breathing. Air dragging through a dry throat. The microphone shifts slightly. Fabric brushes against it. Then a whisper. Not panicked, not shouted, contained. It's not alone in here. The words are thin, almost swallowed by the static. A metallic scraping sound begins. Slow, measured. Something hard pulling across wooden flooring. Not rushed, not frantic. As if whatever is making that sound knows there is nowhere else to go. Unit 12, repeat last transmission. The dispatcher's voice is firmer now. The breathing stops. 47 seconds pass. No footsteps. No command shouted. No struggle. No gunfire. Just an open channel. The sub-bass hum deepens slightly. In the silence, there is the faintest shift in audio levels, as if something has leaned closer to the microphone. Then it comes. A laugh, low, distorted, drawn out. It does not sound amused. It does not sound human. It sounds close. Close enough that it should have been seen on camera. And then, nothing. The line stays open. But whatever was inside that house is no longer breathing. Tonight, we're breaking down one of the most disturbing police dispatch recordings ever archived, known as the Last Dispatch, a welfare check that ended with silence, a body cam recovered without its officer, and 8 missing minutes that have never been accounted for. Wind moves slowly across open farmland, not strong enough to howl, just steady enough to press against loose boards and make old wood answer back. The farmhouse sits nearly a mile off the nearest paved road. A narrow gravel path leads to it. Overgrown at the edges, tire tracks faint and infrequent. The property once belonged to a family of 3. County records show the father passed away first. The mother followed a year later. After that, the house was inherited by a distant relative who never moved in. 6 years, no permanent residence, no updated utilities, no renovations, no reason for activity inside. October 14, 2:58 a.m., dispatch receives the first 911 hang-up from that address. 19 seconds, open line, breathing, disconnected. The call logs automatically tag the location as the farmhouse. The dispatcher marks it as a possible misdial. Then it happens again. 3 minutes later, another 911 call, same address. This time there is sound in the background, not movement, not television, humming, soft, off-key, slow. The dispatcher attempts verbal contact multiple times. No response. The humming continues for 8 seconds longer than the previous call. Then silence. Then disconnect. By policy, repeated hang-ups from the same location require physical verification. Unit 12 is assigned, 12 years on patrol, known among colleagues for measured responses, no disciplinary flags, no history of exaggerated reports. He acknowledges the call without hesitation. What he does not know is that this address has a history. 3 years earlier, Neighbors reported lights flickering inside the vacant house at exactly 3:17 a.m., multiple consecutive nights. Responding deputies found nothing. The power meter showed no activity. Interior wiring had been partially removed years prior. There was no legal power source. Still, eyewitnesses insisted the upstairs window glowed faintly every night at the same minute, 3:17. The reports were eventually dismissed, filed as trespassing suspicions without evidence. But this wasn't the first time police had been called to that address. In fact, there were 4 documented responses over the past 6 years, each time at night, each time ending without explanation. No forced entry, no squatters located, no animals trapped inside, just an empty structure and something else. The timestamp attached to the first 911 call didn't make sense. According to the emergency communications server, the call connected at 2:58 a.m., but internal dispatch logs show a brief system desynchronization at exactly 3:17 a.m. 7 seconds where incoming data stalled. 7 seconds where the recording buffer shows a flat line before resuming. Engineers later examined the system. No malfunction found. No maintenance logs indicating interference. Just 7 seconds missing from the central clock. At the time, no one linked it to the farmhouse. That connection would come later. The wind presses harder against the siding now. A loose shutter taps rhythmically against brick. Inside the structure, unseen floorboards shift under changing air pressure. And somewhere in the archived audio of that second 911 call, when the humming fades, there is the faintest second tone layered beneath it. Not harmony, not echo, something separate. But that detail wouldn't be discovered until long after Unit 12 stepped through the front door. And by then, the timeline was already broken. The archived recording begins in near silence. Then static settles in, low and grainy, like air trapped inside old wiring. A soft click signals the connection, and then breathing, heavy, measured, close enough to distort the receiver slightly. Each inhale drags against the microphone membrane. Each exhale carries a faint tremor. Dispatch answers immediately. 911, what's your emergency?
What is your emergency?
The breathing continues. No words, no attempt to respond. Just air moving in and out. Slower than panic. One but not calm. There is a difference between controlled breathing and breathing that is being controlled. 5 seconds pass. 10. The dispatcher tries again. Hello. If you can hear me, I need you to speak. The breathing pauses. For a moment, it sounds like the caller is holding their breath. Then it resumes. And beneath it, humming, faint, unsteady. The pitch rises slightly at the end of each note, as if the person humming forgets how the melody is supposed to land. It sounds like a lullaby, but incomplete, fragments repeating. The dispatcher shifts in her chair. The recording picks up the faint rustle of fabric and keyboard taps. Are you in danger? The humming continues. The breathing grows quieter, as if the phone has been lowered, but not hung up. Then something new enters the recording, a dragging sound, slow, textured. Wood scraping across wood. It begins faintly, somewhere in the background, then grows closer. Each pull, deliberate, not rushed. The dispatcher stops speaking. You can hear it in her silence, training giving way to uncertainty. If you can't talk, make any sound. The dragging stops instantly. 3 seconds of absolute stillness. Then, a single knock, not on the phone, not against plastic. A knock that echoes slightly, as if it came from within a large, empty room. The dispatcher's breathing changes, shallower now. "Hello? I need you to respond." No reply. The line disconnects. The recording clicks off. But at 3:01 a.m., when the system logs a second incoming call from the same address, the line connects immediately. No ringing tone, just open audio. No breathing this time, no humming, just the faint ambient echo of space. The dispatcher's voice is firmer now, but there is strain beneath it. "This is County Dispatch. If you can hear me, I need confirmation." Silence. Then, the dragging sound again. Closer this time. Longer. It moves across the audio spectrum from left to right, as if something is crossing the room. Slowly, the dispatcher presses her headset tighter. Her voice loses its steady rhythm. "Is someone there with you?" The dragging stops. There is a soft thud. Then what sounds like fabric brushing against the receiver. The humming returns, but softer, closer to the phone. One note holds longer than the rest, and underneath it, if you listen carefully, there is a second tone layered beneath the humming. Lower, slightly out of sync. The dispatcher doesn't react to that detail. Then another knock. Closer than before. Then another knock. Closer than before. The dispatcher inhales sharply. The sound is audible on the recording. The authority in her voice thins. "Hello? I need you to stay on the line." The humming stops mid-note. The breathing returns, but it isn't steady anymore. It sounds like someone else is breathing now. Two rhythms, out of alignment. One are in open air, but no one speaks. Instead, open air, but no one speaks. Instead, a slow dragging sound travels across wooden flooring again. Longer this time, and ending with something that almost sounds like a hand pressing down on the receiver. The dispatcher's voice wavers now, authority cracking at the edges. "Unit 12, expedite." The call drops for the final time. And that humming? It matched something found later inside the house. But that connection wouldn't be made until investigators reviewed the body cam footage, frame by frame. Because upstairs, inside a locked bedroom, there was a music box, and when wound, it played the exact same broken melody. One note always held too long, as if whoever hummed it first had learned it from that room, and not the other way around. The patrol vehicle turns off the paved road and onto gravel. The body cam activates automatically when the driver's door opens. Headlights sweep across tall grass and broken fence posts before settling on the farmhouse at the end of the drive. Gravel crunches steadily under the tires. The engine idles for a moment before shutting off. Silence settles over the field. A car door opens, then shuts. The sound carries farther than it should in open land. A radio static hums faintly from the officer's shoulder mic. "Unit 12 on scene," he says. His voice is calm, routine. In the distance, a dog barks once, sharp, alert, then stops completely. The camera tilts upward as he approaches the house. The upstairs window glows faintly. Not bright, just enough to suggest a light source inside. The porch light flickers once, twice. There should be no power running to this structure. The county shut it off years ago. The front door is slightly open. Well, not forced, not broken, just resting a few inches ajar. Wind nudges it gently against the frame. A hollow wooden knock repeats every few seconds as it moves. He steps onto the porch. Old boards groan beneath his weight. "Sheriff's Department," he calls. His voice echoes faintly into the interior. No reply. He pushes the door open with 2 fingers. It swings inward slowly. The beam of his flashlight cuts through the darkness. Dust particles float through the air, and then he inhales. The smell hits immediately. Metallic, sweet, old. The kind of scent that lingers in enclosed spaces. The camera adjusts as he steps fully inside. Floorboards creak beneath each step. To the left, a hallway stretches toward the back of the house. To the right, a living room sits frozen in time. Furniture still arranged. Family photographs on the walls. A grandfather clock stands at the end of the hall, its pendulum motionless, the hands fixed at 3:17. He pans the flashlight toward the kitchen. A wall clock above the sink, 3:17. The microwave display on the counter, 3:17. A battery-operated clock near the living room archway, 3:17. Every visible clock in the house shows the same time. He pauses. The camera lingers on the microwave display slightly longer. The numbers do not blink. They do not flicker. They remain steady. 3:17. He exhales slowly. The breath becomes visible in the flashlight beam. Thin vapor drifting upward. It is colder inside the house than outside, where there is no visible source for the cold, no broken windows, no open back door, just a steady drop in temperature. The faint humming from earlier recordings is not present now, but the silence feels layered, thick, as if the house is holding sound rather than releasing it. He presses the radio mic. Dispatch, interior check. Door was open. Static answers. A low crackle. He adjusts the mic slightly. Dispatch, copy. More static. Then a faint fragment of the dispatcher's voice breaks through. Cadre Unit 12, signal weak. The transmission cuts abruptly. The static spikes once, then fades completely. He lowers the radio slowly. The display shows no signal bars, no connection. He is standing in a vacant farmhouse with no active utilities and no communication. A floorboard shifts somewhere deeper inside the house, not under his feet, further down the hallway. He turns the flashlight toward the sound. Nothing visible, but the air seems to move slightly in that direction. A faint draft brushes against the camera lens. He takes one step forward. The beam of light sweeps across the wall. Photographs show a mother, a father, and a young child, all smiling, all framed carefully. Dust coats the glass, but the frames are straight, not disturbed. Another floorboard creaks. Upstairs this time. Slow, intentional. He tilts the camera upward toward the staircase. Darkness at the top, no visible movement. His breathing grows slightly heavier, controlled, but deeper now. He presses the radio again. Dispatch, status check. Static, nothing more. He lowers his hand. The house remains silent. And then, the radio cuts out entirely. The display goes blank. No static, no crackle, just dead air. And then the upstairs hallway light flickers once, briefly illuminating the top of the staircase, before going dark again. The house does not feel abandoned. It feels paused. The flashlight beam moves slowly across the living room walls. Family photos still hang in neat rows. A mother seated at a kitchen table, a father standing in a field behind the house, a young child holding something small and smiling at the camera. Dust coats the glass, but the frames are straight, not tilted, not disturbed, as if someone had been careful to keep them that way. He steps toward the dining area. A rectangular table sits in the center of the room. 3 plates arranged evenly, forks placed beside them, glasses upright, A thin layer of dust covers everything, undisturbed, except there are streaks across the tabletop, clean lines cutting through the dust, as if fingers were dragged slowly across it. The officer lowers the flashlight. The beam settles on the floor. Dust blankets the wooden boards near the baseboards and corners. But through the center of the room, footprints, fresh, clear tread marks, leading from the front door deeper into the house. They are not his. His boots are still near the entryway. The prints are smaller, narrower. They lead toward the staircase. He follows them slowly, each step deliberate. The air grows heavier with that metallic sweetness. Not overpowering, just present, clinging to the back of the throat. His flashlight slides along the stair railing, and that's when it becomes clearly wrong. A smear marks the wood, dark, dried, uneven in shape. He leans closer. The texture catches the light differently than the varnish. It isn't dirt, it isn't paint, it is blood. Not splattered, not sprayed, dragged, as if a hand slid down the railing while ascending or descending. He pauses at the base of the stairs. The house remains silent for 3 full seconds. Then, from somewhere upstairs, a soft mechanical click, followed by music, a music box, slow, delicate, playing a lullaby. The melody is uneven. One note always stretching longer than it should. The same broken pattern heard faintly on the 911 recording. He turns toward the sound. There is no visible movement upstairs, only darkness. He pivots briefly to clear the adjacent room before sending. The door creaks open. A child's bedroom, untouched, bed made neatly, stuffed animals arranged carefully along the pillow, crayons scattered across a small desk as if someone had stood up mid-drawing. Dust lies thick across the windowsill, but not on the bedspread. The blanket appears recently smoothed. He steps inside. The music box continues upstairs, slow, repetitive. He whispers quietly under his breath as he scans the room. A habit, a grounding technique. He says his own name softly, testing how his voice sounds in the space. And then, from behind him, his name is spoken again. Clear, measured, not whispered, not shouted, just said. He turns immediately, flashlight sweeping the doorway. Empty hallway, no movement. When the music box continues, he steps back into the hall, breathing slightly heavier now, controlled but faster. The camera shifts slightly as he adjusts his stance. Later, during review of the footage, investigators would pause at this exact moment, frame by frame. At 18:47 in the recording, a shadow moves across the far wall. Long, distorted, but not aligned with the flashlight beam. The light is pointed forward, the shadow moves sideways, against the direction of the light source. He does not react to it in real time. He doesn't see it. He is focused on the staircase, on the music above, on the way the melody never quite resolves. He places one foot on the first step. The stair groans under his weight. The music stops instantly. Complete silence returns. No wind, no shifting boards, no distant animals. Just the house holding its breath, and whatever is upstairs, waiting. But what was upstairs changed everything. The hallway feels narrower now, as if the walls have shifted closer while he wasn't looking. Each step forward triggers a long, aching creak from the floorboards beneath him. Slow, the sound of old wood bending under weight, under presence. A low vibration hums beneath the audio. Deep, almost below hearing. Felt more than heard. It builds gradually, pressing into the chest. His radio crackles suddenly. A burst of distortion, fragments of dispatch breaking through. Unit 12. Respond. Then it twists into static, warped, as if the signal is being pulled through water. The temperature drops sharply. His breath thickens. The lens of the body cam begins to fog slightly at the edges, moisture forming in soft halos around the flashlight beam. He wipes at it with his glove. The smear lingers. The metallic sweetness in the air grows overwhelming now. Not faint, not subtle. It coats the throat. It feels close, recent. And then, a new sound, soft at first, and then clearer, flies, a cluster of them, buzzing somewhere nearby. But there is no visible source, no carcass, no open food, no body. Just the sound circling, agitated, trapped. He reaches the first door on the left. It opens easily, empty guest room, bare mattress frame, nothing inside. The second door on the right, bathroom, dry sink, mirror coated in dust, but written across the glass. 3 faint lines, as if someone dragged fingers downward through the dust. He backs out slowly, when only one door remains, at the end of the hall, the one that had shifted. He approaches it carefully. The flies grow louder. The buzzing becomes concentrated near that door. His hand reaches for the knob. It doesn't turn. Locked. He knocks once. Firm. Police. No response. Only the low hum beneath everything. He steps back, positions himself, and drives his shoulder into the wood. The first impact cracks the frame. The second splinters it. The third forces it open. The door slams against the interior wall, and the smell hits fully. Thick, copper, sweet, rotting underneath. The flashlight beam cuts across the room. Blood, across the walls, dragged in wide arcs, not sprayed, smeared, layered, as if something had been pressed there repeatedly. The bed is overturned, sheets soaked dark. The buzzing of flies erupts near the ceiling. He angles the light upward, and that's when he sees it. A handprint, high above the wall, near the ceiling line. Too high, much too high. 5 long streaks dragging downward from it, as if someone had reached up there, or held something up there. His breathing fractures, not panic, but disbelief. The lens fog thickens, and in the far corner of the room, something shifts. The flashlight beam trembles toward it. There is a shape standing there. Tall, thin, motionless, limbs elongated, bent at angles that do not follow joints. Arms slightly raised, fingers too long. The head tilted sharply to one side, farther than bone should allow. And it is smiling. Not wide, not exaggerated, just enough. The body cam struggles to adjust exposure. The figure remains partially obscured in shadow, but visible, clearly visible. He whispers something under his breath. It's unclear what he says. The audio distorts violently for half a second. The radio erupts in garbled noise again. The sub-bass pulse deepens. The flies stop abruptly. Complete silence fills the room. He lowers the flashlight slightly, and the beam reveals something his mind doesn't process immediately. The figure's feet are not touching the floor. There is empty space beneath them. The shadow does not fall downward. It spreads across the ceiling. The figure wasn't standing on the floor. It was pressed against the ceiling. The flashlight trembles. The beam climbs the wall, stops at the ceiling, finds it again, still there, pressed flat against the plaster, head tilted, smile unchanged. The officer takes one slow step backward. The floorboard groans beneath him. His breathing is no longer controlled. It pulls in sharply, pushes out unevenly. Fog rolls across the lens again, blurring the edges of the frame. The figure does not blink. It does not sway. It does not breathe. The radio on his shoulder explodes with static, a violent burst of distortion, then clearer than before. Dispatch. Unit 12, status? The voice sounds far away, thin, like it's coming through layers of interference. The officer swallows. His mouth opens. No words come out at first. The figure's head tilts slightly farther, a movement too smooth, too fluid. Then it moves, but not by stepping, not by climbing. The image fractures for half a second. The body cam glitches. Pixels tear across the screen, and the shape is suddenly closer. Not walking, not crawling, just repositioned. Halfway across the ceiling now, limbs still bent at impossible angles, hands splayed wide against the plaster, smile wider. The officer stumbles back again. His heel catches the edge of the overturned bed frame. The camera jerks violently. The beam swings wildly across blood-streaked walls. Up, down, ceiling, empty corner. Then it's directly above him. Close, too close. The lens struggles to focus. The condensation thickens. His breathing turns ragged, fast, shallow. Dispatch. Unit 12, respond. The words distort at the end, stretch unnaturally, as if dragged. The officer finally whispers, barely audible. It's still smiling. The figure's face lowers closer to the lens. The smile does not move. It simply remains, unchanging. The camera jolts again. There's the sound of boots scraping wood, a sharp impact. The body cam rips free. It falls, hits the floor hard. The frame spins once and lands sideways. From the ground, it captures only part of the room, the doorway, the lower half of the wall. Blood smears, the ceiling no longer visible. There is a heavy thud above, wood cracking, but no scream, no gunshot, no struggle that sounds human. Instead, silence, complete, total, for 3 full seconds. Then, soft, close to the microphone, childlike laughter. Gentle, almost playful. It echoes once, then cuts abruptly. The transmission ends. 11 minutes pass before backup arrives. 11 minutes of unanswered radio calls. 11 minutes of dispatch repeating his unit number into dead air. The patrol SUV pulls into the gravel driveway at 3:52 a.m. Dashcam footage shows the farmhouse exactly as he left it. Front door open, lights inside still flickering, wind pushing gently against loose shutters. 2 officers approach with weapons drawn. They announce themselves. Clear, loud, professional, no response. They step inside. The metallic smell is immediate. Stronger upstairs, they follow the same path. Dust disturbed only once, by the original set of fresh footprints, and by his, nothing else, no third set, no drag marks leading out. The staircase groans beneath their weight just as it did before. The hallway feels cold, unnaturally cold for mid-October, their breath visible in the beam of their flashlights. They reach the final bedroom. The door's already broken inward, inside and blood on the walls. Dark streaks drying into the plaster, handprint near the ceiling, exactly as seen on the recovered body cam footage. The bed overturned, sheets soaked, flies gathered along the upper corner of the room. But there is no body, no suspect, no sign of forced exit through the windows. The windows are locked from the inside. Dust on the sills remains undisturbed. And on the floor, near the doorway, his body cam, lying on its side, still recording when they pick it up. Battery nearly drained, and the last frame frozen on the sideways image of the wall. No visible attacker, no visible officer, just an empty section of the room. His service weapon is found downstairs, placed carefully on the dining table. Safety engaged. No fingerprints other than his own. No blood on the grip. No discharge recorded. They searched the entire property. Attic, crawl space, basement foundation, nearby fields. K9 units brought in before sunrise. The dogs track his scent up the stairs, into the bedroom. They circle, whine, refuse to move farther, as if the trail ends midair. Inside the house, every clock is checked. Kitchen, living room, bedroom nightstands, even the old microwave in the kitchen, all stopped at exactly 3:17 a.m. Not flashing, not blinking from power loss, simply frozen. Investigators later determined the power to the house had been disconnected 6 years earlier. There should have been no electricity running at all. When yet the body cam shows lights flickering throughout the structure. Then the timeline is reviewed. Dispatch logs indicate that at 3:41 a.m., 8 minutes after the body cam's final frame, a call came through from Unit 12's radio. Clear, calm, no distortion. The voice identified as his. He requested immediate backup, gave his location, stated there was an active situation upstairs. The transmission lasted 12 seconds, then ended normally. No panic in his voice, no heavy breathing, just steady speech. But the body cam footage confirms his camera stopped recording at 3:33 a.m. Battery timestamp verified. Internal clock synchronized earlier that evening at the station. There is no gap in footage, no corrupted file. It simply ends at 3:33. 8 minutes before the backup request. Forensic audio analysis confirms the 3:41 transmission matches his vocal patterns, his cadence, his tone, even subtle speech habits noted in previous recordings. Or there is no evidence of voice synthesis, no interference detected. The radio itself is found upstairs, clipped to the broken fabric of his uniform shirt, which is discovered near the center of the bedroom floor. Torn, but empty. No blood consistent with catastrophic injury. No tissue. No remains. Just fabric. And above it, faint scuff marks on the ceiling, as if something heavy had pressed there. So who called for backup? 8 minutes after the camera shut off. The farmhouse is searched again, and again, and again. County investigators, state police, independent forensic teams. Every wall is measured, every panel of drywall removed. Thermal imaging used to detect hidden cavities. Ground-penetrating radar scans the soil beneath the structure. There is no attic. The roofline is shallow, confirmed by architectural records pulled from county permits filed in 1978. There is no basement. The house sits on a simple concrete slab. There is no crawl space, or no hidden chamber, no concealed access point within the walls. The bedroom ceiling is cut open entirely during the third search. Nothing above it, just beams and insulation. No structural space large enough to conceal a person. No blood pooling above the drywall. No disturbance in the fiberglass. The scuff marks seen in the body cam footage cannot be recreated. Investigators attempt to press weighted mannequins against the ceiling. The plaster cracks under pressure, but no matching marks form. Hands still, there are no footprints leaving the house, not in the dust inside, not in the soil outside. The gravel driveway holds only 2 vehicle impressions, Unit 12 patrol SUV, and the responding backup car. The surrounding field remains untouched. Morning dew undisturbed. No drag marks, no displaced grass. It is as if he simply stopped existing at the center of that room. Then comes the audio review, the 3:41 a.m. transmission. The one requesting backup sounds normal at first, steady breathing, clear speech. Requesting additional units, active situation upstairs. No panic, no strain. But forensic technicians isolate background frequencies beneath the vocal track. They enhance the waveform, filter out static, slow the audio by 20%. And underneath his final word, there is another voice, layered so closely it nearly merges with his. Not loud, not distorted. Just there, a whisper, single word. Stay. It is not his tone, not his pitch, not his cadence. The whisper overlaps perfectly with the end of his transmission, as if spoken directly into the same microphone. But dispatch operators confirm no one else was present in the communications room at that time. The radio log shows only one active mic, and the whisper is too close to be environmental bleed. It is intimate, close, right against the receiver. The file is reviewed by independent analysts. None can attribute the second voice to interference. It carries distinct vocal characteristics, human, soft, deliberate, and it does not match any known officer, dispatcher, or civilian voice in their database. The case remains open for 7 months. No suspect, no remains, no evidence of voluntary disappearance, his financial records untouched, no activity on personal accounts, no passport use, no confirmed sightings. In May of the following year, the county authorizes demolition of the property. Public pressure mounts. Trespassers had begun visiting the site after rumors spread online. The structure is torn down in a single afternoon. Debris cleared. Foundation broken apart. The land left bare. Utilities remain disconnected. The address officially marked inactive in the 911 system. 3 months later, at 2:58 a.m., a 911 call comes through. Hang up. Origin traced automatically. The same address. Dispatch attempts callback. The line connects. No one speaks, only breathing. Slow, measured, then, faintly, a familiar sound, childlike humming. The same uneven lullaby pattern captured in the original call. The dispatcher freezes, pulls the archived file for comparison. The melody matches. Exactly. Before she can speak again, a whisper crosses the line. Clear. Close. Stay. The call disconnects. Officers are sent to the location. They find nothing. Just open land. Broken concrete fragments. And dirt. No structure. No electricity. No phone line connected to the property. Yet the system confirms the call originated from within a 10-foot radius of the former bedroom's location. Where the ceiling once was, where the scuff marks had been, where the handprint reached too high, the case file is labeled unresolved. Unit 12 remains officially missing, and every year, on October 14th, at 3:17 a.m., dispatch logs record a brief surge of radio interference on his old frequency. No voice, no words, just static, and something underneath it, breathing. The official case file closes with a final attachment, an enhanced replay, labeled Unit 12 0341. Transmission reprocessed. The original audio plays first. Normal speed, crackling radio, his voice steady, requesting additional units, active situation upstairs. It ends, silence. Then the enhanced version begins, slowed to 70%. Background frequencies amplified. The static stretches, becomes textured, layered, almost rhythmic. Technicians isolate the lower channel. A boost mid-range, strip interference. Under his voice, something begins to separate from the noise. At first, it sounds like distortion, a ripple beneath syllables. Then it becomes clearer, two tones overlapping, his voice and another. The waveform reveals a second pattern hidden inside the same second of audio. Played again, slower. The room during the review is completely silent. No one speaks. The whisper emerges gradually from the static. Not rushed, not aggressive. Calm. Close to the microphone. Unit 12. The analyst paused the file. Rewind. Play it again. There is no debate about what it says. It continues. I'm still inside. Not outside. Not trapped. Inside. The phrase does not match the cadence of his original transmission. It overlaps slightly after his final word, as if timed intentionally, as if waiting for the space between breaths. The pitch does not match his voice. It is lower, flattened, but unmistakably human. The audio cuts abruptly at the end of the sentence. Not fading, not distorting, just gone. No static tail, no signal drop, silence, complete. The recording ends there, and that is the final entry in the case file of Unit 12. No recovery, no explanation, only a voice claiming it was still inside. The case remains open. The frequency remains active. And every October 14th, technicians still monitor it for interference. They never speak about what they hear, only that it's there, low, faint, persistent. If you want more real police nightmares that were never meant to be heard, subscribe now. There are recordings locked away in evidence archives that never reach the public. Transmissions that ended without explanation. Calls that were never traced. Voices that were never identified. And tell me in the comments, would you have gone upstairs? Would you have taken that final step into the hallway, knowing the radio had already gone silent? The next case we're covering is even darker. Until then, keep your radios close and listen carefully to what answers back. Low static begins to rise, soft at first, then slowly filling the silence. A faint breath beneath it, and then nothing.